In today's video, I'm going to be obtaining more meta units alongside exploring and obtaining all the newest units in the new 8.5 update. I honestly have to say that this video is probably going to be the most luckiest I am going to be in AV for an extremely long time, as the luck in this video is insane. But before we start this video, I just want to say thank you for over 100 subs. It is crazy to see, and I honestly can't thank you guys enough. As always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to show some support as it means a lot, and let's get this video started. In this video, my goal is to get Sukunish Familiar, the level 50 Battle Pass unit Goblin Killer, Biken from the Guilty Gears Legend stage, Yuha Baha from the Rift, and the units from Update 8.5, which are Broly, Gogeta, Frieza, and Wolf. The first character I want to work on is Sukuna and his Familiar. Since I didn't have Sukuna from way back, I decided to obtain him real quick. During the time of the recording, he had his boss event out, so I grinded that out to get the fingers real quick for the evolution. Okay, so Itadori should boom now be Sukuna. Let's go. Sukuna's quest for his familiar was the same as Gojo's, but instead of Gojo, it's just Sukuna. This was nonetheless a pretty brain dead grind. I mean, it's just clearing stages, so it was nothing crazy. So using the best way to complete this, I hopped into the forgotten game mode Odyssey and just played Odyssey with Sukuna on the team until I reached 25 completions 5 different times. Alright, so I completed the challenges here. We have enough for finger. With Sukuna and his familiar obtained, it's time to work on the next units. Biken's Guilty Gear stage was known as one of the most difficult stages to do, and as a person who basically does everything in the game solo, I had to find a way to complete this stage. Luckily, we got that answer with the level 50 Battle Pass unit Goblin Killer. For those who don't know, Goblin Killer doesn't work like normal units, as his only way of dealing damage or attacking is through the 5 traps he places, and that trap stacks all the way up to 400% of the unit's damage. This is the one thing that can help get through the very difficult first boss in the stage that spawns at wave 5. As this boss has a very high resistance, meaning normal units basically do close to no damage with the very little money we get at the beginning of the stage. So with that being said, I spammed infinite to level up my battle pass so that I could do the proclaimed most difficult stage in the game. Alright, so I've been doing infinite and I just finished an infinite not too long ago, and it looks, we finished our battle pass and we have the goblins Leia evolve. Before I move on to the attempts of the Biking Guilty Gear stage, I decided to do some rerolls on some characters. During the time, the first anniversary was out, and what we got was a daily login reward that provided a huge amount of rerolls and gems, specifically 250 rerolls and 25,000 gems. So with the rerolls I had and the ones from the login, I did some rerolls on characters and got some surprising results. Ooh, we got a Deadeye. Do I keep it for now? I mean, my rolls have been pretty bad. Nah. Monarch. Ooh, do I keep the Blitz for now or do I just roll? We're rolling. Oh my god. Like, it's hard because I want to keep the Blitz for now, knowing that I won't actually have anything. At the same time, I don't want to. I think it's best just to leave it. What? What? What the? How? That's the That's crazy. We got a He's good. He's good. He's actually on the list. He's on the upper meta tier list, I'm pretty sure. So with the complete unexpected and surprising Monarch, I decided to move on and work on the Biking Guilty Gear stage. I decided to use the team I saw from this creator. The team consisted of the Falcon, aka Griffith, Goblin Killer, Sukino with his familiar, the Priest, Newsman, and well, the farm, Speedwagon. This creator did it with no trades and no familiars on the other units, which was honestly impressive. But to be completely honest, using this team still had a lot of RNG behind it. This was because you needed the modifier champion. Surprisingly enough, this is the only one that actually makes the stage easier to do. Alongside that, you also need to have good RNG on the bosses you get and the HP of the boss. Now you might say why, and that is because the other two bosses are from the other legend stages, meaning you have to deal with one with insane regen and the other one is pretty fast. Now the regen is not the issue because of Sukino's bleed, but it's actually the time you have to take it out before it reaches the trap. And the same thing goes for the other boss, beating it before it reaches the trap, because one trap can lead to the success or failure of the stage. But with all of that, that still leads another issue, which is the amount of HP the bosses get, as each one is random. I had the final boss's HP range from anywhere from 14 million to 21 million. And with that being said, I started to get extremely annoyed after many attempts because of this RNG. I'm not gonna lie, I need to talk about this because I'm actually getting like pissed off. So I've been trying a bunch of different teams for this EX stage, right? And the one thing I don't get is why do the bosses have different HP amounts? So this is the current team I'm using, right? I'm using Falcon, or I'm using Griffith, the Goblin Killer, Sukuna, Newsman, and the Witch, right? Obviously I have Speedwagon as the farm, but I'm using these units, right? The only reason why I'm using Falcon is because of the branding, so he gives a buff to Goblin Killer so that he actually gets more damage on his mind, and the fact that his final upgrade is free, right? So that's kind of like the reason why I'm using these two together. Newsman is for the slow and burn and the bubble, and the Witch is for nullify. And Sukuna is there for the bleed and just damage in general because he has the familiar. The familiar makes him really strong, right? And the one thing I'm not getting the most is why do some of the bosses just have an extreme amount of HP? At at wave 5, the first boss that spawns, and that's where most people struggle with because it's very hard for him to necessarily get taken down because you don't really have the damage output for that. And the best way to do that is with Goblin Killer, right? This guy. My question is, why does that boss at the very early beginning usually have 2 million HP go to like 3 to 4 million HP? What is the point of that? Genuinely, what is the point of that? Okay. So like Doorman has insane regen. That's the one thing. Doorman has insane regen, so you have to bring bleed, especially if you have champion. Or else he just walks into the mines, and if you have a different unit there, it just like it's dumb. Alright, so he's gonna be doing, let me turn off these VFXs. I forgot to turn off the VFXs. I usually just want to keep his VFXs on. So like this time he survives. Like, bro, like what is this? It's so RNG related. Like I usually kill by then. Like, oh my god, it's so annoying. He took this Sukuna. I'm gonna get rid of my farms as well. What else did he take? He didn't take as much this time, which is honestly not bad. He didn't take much this time. It's weird. He sometimes he takes all of them, sometimes he just doesn't take anything. Like, it's weird. Let's just put majority of this into the damages or the mines. Right, since he barely took anything, like I don't want to like overdo it, if you get what I mean. So like it's okay he walks into it, but like I want them to like go like fast, or I want him to go fast, because all this got to go for him. Come on. Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, dismantle slam. We're gonna help do some damage here. But as you can see, we have most of our stuff that's like trapped and ready. They're like all like really high damage. Let's see, can we take him down? I don't think we can. Like, look at him. He's just walking by. He just has so much HP. Yeah, see, look, like that's so. Oh my god, I think he even has. I think he has more HP as well. I think normally he's supposed to have 15 to 16 mil, but it's so random that it just doesn't work. And I don't even think my priest even stunned him. Like, I don't get it, dude. All right, so with the claimed rerolls from the anniversary and the daily, I have a total of 105 rerolls, I think, and this will be a great opportunity to. I really want to. I really want to do this, but I feel like I shouldn't because I feel like there's so many better characters for this. But I want to get Escanor up there. Oh, I think it's just best to get him up there, right? I think he's the best for that case, right? Oh my god, I want to, but I also don't. I want to get Biken. Oh, okay. I think we go for a better trade on Goblin Slayer first before. Bro, what? A monarch? Oh my god. Wait, that's crazy. Monarch. I can't speak. Well, Monarch Goblin Killer? Oh my god. Yo. That's absolute. Yo. Oh my god. Jesus. Let's go for Griffith then. Let's try to get Griffith. Something on Griffith. If I get Blitz again, I'll just do Blitz. Ethereal. I will actually keep the Ethereal. I will keep that Ethereal. Let's roll on. Let's roll off the Deadeye on Sukuna. Let's see if we can get anything else. Oh god. Okay, we got Blitz. Theoretic. That is like worse than Deadeye, so I technically downgraded. But I think it low-key might be a little bit better on him. I want to get this Monarch on Escanor so badly. Let's. Okay. Oh my god, I can't believe we got another. That is crazy. Okay, I'm gonna do this once and once only in this video, or until like I actually want to get something else. But I'm actually gonna get this. Okay, so we got the bundle. Why is he on the floor? Let's see what the skin actually looks like on him. I totally forgot about this. Let's equip it on him. I kind of like it because it looks like what's it called? It looks like a Elden Ring skin or like a Soul Series skin. I don't know who this is exactly, so don't flame me if I get this wrong, but he looks pretty sick. Honestly, he does look pretty sick. Okay, I can't believe I actually spend Robux on trade rerolls, on a bundle for trade rerolls, but I have to. Like after two reroll, after just like such a low 2 monarchs on like two characters, I have to at this point. I have to try to go for something on Escanor. This is my third ethereal. I think we definitely agreed it. It was worth the greed. It was worth the greed. 3 monarchs in one video. Oh my god. This is insane. Obtaining both Monarch, Goblin Killer, and Escanor is honestly the most insane luck that I had in an extremely long time. I mean, this video is only 15 minutes in and I have a total of 3 new Monarchs, which is insane. On top of that, the Ethereal I got on Griffith and the Blitz on Sukuna is actually going to help a long way on the stage. But the big thing is the Monarch Goblin Killer, as he's the big difference for dealing with the bosses, because when he's fully upgraded, he maxes out around 810,000 damage, and multiplying that by the 400%, which is the max damage on the trap, equals to around 4.3 million damage. And since he places 5, just multiplying that, you get over 20 million damage on 5 maxed out traps, which is insane. So he was the big game changer for this stage. I mean, it literally was impossible to lose. Even if he got removed, as long as I don't sell him, he will still have his traps there. And as long as he has enough traps, he could still kill the final boss. So I just completed the first run and I saw that I immediately got one. It is a 50-50. To be fair, it is a 50-50. Viking isn't actually obtained right away when you beat this stage. She has a whole quest line to do like some of the other characters out there. You do get her after completing the first quest, which is done by beating every Guilty Gear's boss, which basically means replaying all of the Guilty Gear story and legend stage, which is nonetheless easy. Her next quest is the most dreadful, and that is winning 10 ranked PvP matches, and as we all know, that scuffed this. I mean, PvP was literally abandoned at this point, so with that being said, I did something that made this quest easier, but would also delay the release of this video. That being leveling an alt account to play ranked PvP matches against, and honestly, it was something that had to be done. I mean, it's not against anything, especially with how chalked PvP is. Also, I mean, other creators do it as well, alongside a dev stating to do this since PvP is chalked. Her last quest is also nonetheless easy since it's just beating an EX Legend stage 10 times, and with Monarch Goblin Killer, it wasn't hard. Yeah, there we go. So we now have to do 10 ranked wins. Unfortunately, ranked is, or PvP is kind of chalked, so we have to find a different way of doing it, but boom, Viking. Sheesh. So the one thing that I did notice is that apparently the alt accounts cannot just immediately go into PvP. So I actually have to level up my alt account for PvP. I have no idea what the restrictions are or when I will be able to access PvP. So the best case scenario is that, or the worst case scenario is that I have to go all the way through to level 50. Thankfully, leveling wasn't that bad. I managed to get around level 23 in a day or two just from having my main account do stuff alongside the 2x player exp on the weekends. During the time of leveling my alt account, update 8.5 arrived, and it's time to obtain the units from update 8.5. The first being Frieza, since he was a banner unit. So we have a bunch of new units, a new dungeon, and some new stuff, basically. But it's a good thing I have 70, or I had 70 for it. I'm assuming Frieza turn. There we go. Yeah, we have a Frieza. Wow, they really changed up all of the everything. These all look very different, and the monarch symbol looks a bit different. I don't know, this looks weird. This is more like, this is white. This is more white, and then this one's more red. Could it be based off of the border? Interesting. I do want to see something though, since the update is out. Let's see if Frieza can actually be ascended, because if he can't be ascended, that's an obvious answer to what we're gonna do. Lord. Okay, so he can be ascended. So he is going to be a mythic unit, I believe. Is he a mythic unit? Wow. Yes, so he stays a mythic unit, so we would want extra copies on him. But the main goal, besides getting obviously the units and the new units and stuff like that, the main goal is that I actually want to obtain the newest Broly. Broly is the newest character I want to obtain the most alongside Gogeta, but Broly is a higher priority because Broly is just goated. We just know that. Broly is goated, and so we have to get him first. I totally forgot. I need to put in codes because there are codes. I'll put him in later. I'll put him in after we summon this. Oh, let me see. Lord. Okay, so we have 2. We just need 1 more. See, can I get 1 more? We also don't have an Alucard yet, so maybe we can get lucky with an Alucard. Very unlikely though, but we are. It's a possibility. Did I get another one? No, okay. There's only 2. So the one thing I do want to say though is that the Baiken quest is gonna have to be put on hold because I kind of need 2x player EXP in order to make this easier to do. And the reason to that is because did I get another Vegeta? No, I got another Vegeta. And the reason why I have to put that on hold is because nobody's playing PvP. So the best way to do this is just to get an alt account, and my alt account needs to get to that location of that area in general. So yeah, we are gonna roll some stats on Frieza. I think Frieza looks somewhat promising, but I think the most promising is definitely that Gogeta. No way, I got an Itadori and I'm not getting the main unit Frieza, bro. I'm running out of gems. I had like 70,000. Next thing you know, I'm close to none anymore, so I'm not getting Frieza. I got 2 Super Vegetas. I got 2 Vegetas, and I got 1 Itadori. And I don't need either. Okay, wait, I got 1. Was that another Itadori? No way, that was another Itadori. Oh my god. Why another Itadori? I just want... Dude, that's the 3rd Itadori I got, bro. With Frieza obtained, it's a matter of doing the dungeons for an extremely long time. Frieza, Gogeta, and Broly all have their evil items in the dungeon. Both Frieza and Gogeta is through the shop, and Broly is, well, from both. The dungeon itself isn't really hard, but it can be hard to understand when you're playing it for the first time. It's nothing like the Ant Raid, as you have to eliminate Frieza, who spawns in as a standstill boss on the track just about every 3 waves. Every time you eliminate Frieza, you get 1 Dragon Ball, and you have to obtain 7 to beat the stage. But the one thing that can be tricky is beating it before the timer runs out, as you have about a minute or 2 waves, I believe, before he despawns, as well as the boss's HP scaling towards the waves. So I headed into dungeons to get everyone's evo item. So I got the 7 Dragon Balls, and we have a thing called the Save Broly. What does this do? What? Oh, okay. So your main goal is to defeat Frieza. Oh. I'm not gonna lie, that low-key surprised me. I did not expect to get the remote so early on, but we did. Hey, we take those. You know what I mean? We take those. The remote for Vanguard Broly is the classic questline that we get. Comparing this to Jinwoo's, Broly's remote questline is 100 times more easier and less annoying to do. But before we start Broly's questline, I want to evolve Frieza and Gogeta. Most people are probably confused on how to get Gogeta, considering there's no information on how to get him in the game. But in the update logs right under the features, it says to obtain Gogeta, you have a 20% chance to get him on victory if you only have Frieza equipped. So evolving Frieza does 2 things, which is one, the ability to get Gogeta, and the other is getting the event quest done for more rerolls, since he's part of that. Alright, so like not even like, I think this is my 2nd run and I already got him. That is insane. I already got him. There we go. So Vegeta, or I still call him Vegeta. Gogeta, boom. Everything is done for him right here. And we also have his kills. Boom, Gogeta. All the way done. With 2 out of the 4 characters obtained, I think it would be best to start working on the Broly questline. The first quest has already been finished since involving both Frieza and Gogeta finished the remaining evolution quest. Goku has already been involved in a previous video I made, so the current quest is to clear the dungeon 10 times. I don't have footage for all my clears, but I just have one of the final one. But the quest after that is to sacrifice 30 mythic units or above, which is nothing considering I spent 70k gems earlier on trying to get 4 copies for Frieza just to get 4 Itadoris and 2 Vegetas. Alright, so I'm on the last one. I just need to eliminate this Frieza. And I'm using my alt to level up. Yeah, my alt's in here, and I'm just using it to just AFK while I actually do the stuff so I can level up. Boom. So that should be the last one for the what's it called? For the remote. Okay, so we need to sacrifice 30 mythic units and above. Okay, so that just means we just have to sacrifice a lot of old units. I'm trying to figure out who to get rid of. Let's get rid of that archer. I could get rid of the Itadoris, right? Because I'm not going to use Itadoris for that Sukuna, right? Akuza has Itadori. I just gotta make sure they don't have anything on them. This one I can get rid of as well. Let's get rid of that one. Kazi, let's get rid of. Do I have Gojo? I do have a Gojo. I do have. Let's. Let's get rid of that one. Let's get rid of you. Who else is there to get rid of? Let's get rid of this Akuzo because I'm not gonna use Akuzo. Jago. The rest of the quest contains killing Frieza 10 times, which I did just by doing the story stage 10 times. The quest after that is to save Broly from the dungeon, which is also another easy thing to do. So with all of that done, we finally got the evil item for Broly, as well as rolling a better trade for Broly. Cheetah Super Awaken. Ooh, ethereal. Ooh, that's good. I think I keep it for now. I think I'm gonna keep it for now. I'm gonna roll it off eventually, but I'm gonna keep it for now. And boom, there we go. Save Broly. And oh, we got the pelt. I just saw it. We got the pelt. With Broly's evil item, the rest is a bunch of essences. So with that being said, I went out to grind essences, but also figured I might as well get the new Warline characters, Wolf, as well as doing some re-rolling on some characters since the world line gave me some re-rolls as rewards. So with that, I went out to do world lines and challenges to obtain enough essences for Broly. I guess something happened with the models that made them want to remove it. There we go. We got Wolf. I want to roll traits on characters. Let's see. So I have 45 from the event or from the world lines. Let's see. I want to put it on Biken. Let me get something on Biken. A Blitz. I'll take a Deadeye. Okay. Ethereal. Oh my god, what is going on? It was just the rainbow traits are just popping out of nowhere. Ooh, I should keep a Blitz because with 10 rerolls I don't think I'm gonna get anything, so I am just gonna keep it. Let's see. Is there another character to roll on? Oh yeah, wait, Wolf. Nothing. All right. Finally, after a day or two, I managed to not only obtain the rest of the essences for Broly, but also unlock the PvP for my alt account. With that in mind, I went to first evolve Broly before trying to queue up. But even then, I quickly found out that getting into a match with my alt was way more annoying. Queuing in private lobbies and queuing at the same time, I somehow managed to kept getting queued with random people. But I somehow managed to match with my alt, and I just kept doing it until I got 10 ranked wins. Now, an erythral. Broly. Sheesh. This is the last one I need to do. So this will equal up to 10. These three right here. Alright, so if you don't know what so basically what I do, I just stack a bunch of fast modifiers. I don't know if they work. I mean, they seem to be working. They're zooming by pretty fast. But I don't know if that's stacking the fast modifiers, because it is what it is. Baiken actually has one more quest to her quest line before we get her Evo item. As stated earlier, you have to beat the EX stage 10 times to actually get her Evo item. But I also want to talk about Yuha, because throughout this video I only mentioned him as a character that we are going to obtain, and the reason to this mention is actually because he finally showed up in the rifts. In about a little over 2 weeks he finally showed up. And to be completely honest, he wasn't going to be in the video at all, because I thought I would finish the video before he came out again. But the biking quest took a bit too long, to the point where Yuha actually came back on the rift. So with that being said, I went to clear the EX stage 10 times to evolve Baiken, and as well as obtaining and evolving Yuha. I will also be rolling some more on some of the characters from the free rerolls I got. I think I'm just fried. Like, this grind has made me like low-key fried. Well, this is Baiken. Let's go. Oh my god. We got a Monarch Rogita. I can't. Holy. My god. Another Monarch. It's insane. Let's see if we can roll something better on Baiken. Ethereal. I will take it. Boom, Yuha, and we got his Evo material. There we go, Yuha. Finally done and obtained. As always for my videos, I will go over the animations and put an image of the passive for you guys to pause and read. Alongside that, after showcasing the units, I will also do a priority list, which is basically where I tell you what characters to focus on based off of what I got in this video and the reason behind it. Alright, so I'm doing this for the third time just so that I can shorten the video, because every other one has just been too long. So yeah. First, we're going to start off with Broly. Obviously, when he first comes in, Vanguard unit always have to have their special intro. He comes in and just beats up Vegeta, basically. This is his passive on the screen. If we start with his first attack, it's like a decently small circle. It's not too small, it's like a medium size, but it's still pretty good. First animation is he picks an enemy, picks the first enemy, just slams him into the ground, beats him up, and also kills that enemy. Just and grab animation, basically. Upgrade 2, he gets Wrathful Roar, becomes a line, pretty thick line if I'm being honest. He basically just shouts at them, you know. Have you seen the Broly movie? Basically same thing, just shouts at them. At upgrade 4, he gets Breaking Point, which is one of his evolutions where he like transforms, I guess you could say. He becomes Super Saiyan in this form. He becomes full AoE. This is full AoE. Just kind of impulses or like explodes, I guess you could say. Just throwing ki everywhere, I guess. Ki blast everywhere. Upgrade 7, we have Wrathful Combo. It's same circle, I guess you could say. In this one, he just kind of goes up to them and just does some like 3-piece combo against them. Yep, 3-piece combo, hits him with a punch, kick, and then another punch. Upgrade 9, he becomes Broly from the movie. One of my favorite Brolys. I'm in this cutscene. There we go. Big man Broly. He becomes a cone, decently large. Basically just shouts at them and then shatters reality. Pretty cool animation in my opinion. And at upgrade 12, his final upgrade, he gets a Flame of Rage, where he becomes an even wider cone, and he basically does the same thing as a shout. More or less looks like flames. Let's see that, like that little like flame, like green flame effect. Let's see if we can do it again. That right there, that's basically what he does. And this is Wrathful Clash. This is what his ability does as well. Kind of looks like Gojo's. Next, we'll move on to Goblin Killer. Goblin Killer doesn't do anything special. Yeah, he just basically places traps. Pretty much it. Nothing really special to him. He doesn't really do damage outside of his traps. But he does have an animation that I believe only happens if they survive the trap. Let's move on to Gogeta. So Gogeta starts off with a small circle, or not circle, cone. And he does the classic Kamehameha for every Dragon Ball character out there. At upgrade 3, he gets Falling Stars, which he becomes a bigger cone. And he also becomes Super Saiyan instead of basic Gogeta, which is honestly really cool. I really like the animations that they put into the game where they just decide to transform the units. This is honestly like pretty cool, honestly. Through upgrades, they just transform and they just change the model. It's extremely cool. And I believe he comes blue on upgrade 7, which is Comet Burst. Yeah, he does become blue here. What he does is a pretty decent, like a medium-sized circle, goes up, punches him, and then does a big explosion afterwards. If you've seen the Broly movie, you know this reference. If you don't, watch the Broly movie. I highly recommend it. It is amazing, in my opinion. At upgrade 10, he gets Cosmic Dust Punisher, which is basically the same thing like Gohan's last upgrade, where he gets a circle, like a decently big size circle, and then a huge cone after that. Honestly, probably one of the coolest scenes, I guess you could say, like besides the Comet Burst. I think Comet Burst is one of my favorite moves that Gogeta does in the movie. Obviously, we know what Sukuna does. He is unfortunately DMCA'd alongside the Familiar. But I'm pretty sure most people know what Sukuna does. If you don't, I'll put his passive up on the screen. And basically starts off with a small circle. And goes in, just does a bunch of slashes and stuff like that. I totally forgot as well, but I will put the Familiar, like the passives for the Familiar. But yeah, that's what he does. First animation does a bunch of cuts. At upgrade 3, he goes full AoE and does Dismantle Slam, basically slashing everything around and then doing a final slam. Upgrade 6, we get Cleave Dash, or Cleaving Dash, basically just walks or just dashes forward and just cleaves everything, or just does slices everywhere. Kind of small line, but not bad nonetheless. I mean, he is a really old unit, so that makes sense. At upgrade 8, we actually get Sinister Sanctum. This is what his ability does. I'll show an image right there. And then at upgrade 9, he gets Flame Release. big cone, by the way. This is pretty big, I'd say. Shoots a flaming arrow, and that's Sukuna. He becomes really good because of his familiar, but we'll leave that to the priority list before I explain further in. Next is Yuha, and obviously as you see, he starts with a half of his range. He does like a half circle, I guess you could say. And basically summons a bunch of swords and just kind of slams him into the ground. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Before I forget, this is his passive and this is his ability. At upgrade 2, he gets Almighty Stars, which he becomes a medium-sized circle, I would say. This is like a medium-sized circle. But pretty cool. Basically summons like a bunch of stuff at the very top, and then just a bunch of beams just start coming down. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Upgrade 8, which is a pretty far upgrade. He gets the Almighty Cage, which is another circle, but slightly bigger. It's actually a pretty huge circle, if I'm being honest. Basically what it does, gets you a bunch of eyes, and just kind of, those eyes just kind of attack the enemy, I guess. I don't really watch, I haven't watched Bleach yet, so I don't know what Yuha, like all about Yuha that much, but just kind of go off of what I've known from the games. His last upgrade, he gets Almighty Blast and Ashen Fall, which is his ability, but he becomes full AoE. He kind of just walks forward and then just like uses his aura, I guess, to just like obliterate everybody around him, which is pretty cool. I do believe he has an animation for his ability. Yeah, that little circle around him, and then he like raises his left arm. That's the animation to his ability, which is honestly pretty cool that they have that as a thing. But yeah, let's move on to Baiken, which is first attack, a very small circle, but basically what she does, slams her foot into the floor and just like flips a tile up. Also forgot to show the passive and the abilities are going to be on the screen for you guys to stop and read. All right, I'm just going to come in here and say that they didn't actually have what the 2 ability does, but basically you switch between 2 chains, the chain club or the chain claw. The chain club does repulse, and the chain claw tethers enemies. So basically what that means is that they're not able to leave outside of her range. At upgrade 4, she gets cannon shot, gets pretty much a cone. Not bad of a cone, kind of like a medium size. It's not huge, but not like small. Not like Gogeta's very beginning one. This small cone is kind of crazy. Pretty good. Basically just takes out a flint knock and just she just started blasting. Really cool, honestly. I kind of find it funny that I think she's like built to be like a samurai, but then out of nowhere she just pulls out a Glock. Kind of reminds me of Ishin from Sekiro. Upgrade 6, she gets Blade Rush, becomes a thick line, and basically what she does the classic dash through the enemies and a bunch of slashes goes around. She kind of reminds me of Sonic. I remember like Sonic from One Punch Man, not the cartoon show. Like Sonic does this. I think it's in like the Battlegrounds. I think it's like I forgot what it's called. It's like the fighting game. I remember playing it with a friend like way back, but yeah, like that's pretty cool, honestly. Pretty cool animation in my opinion. And she gets another animation at upgrade 9, which is Fatal Strike, and she becomes a huge cone. Basically what she teleports to them while doing a slash, like does a little like channeling thing with this little like effect above my head, or was an effect above my head, and then does one final slash after that. Pretty cool. Oh, you just saw the chain. The chain, she just like the chain club, she just like flung it from her, I guess her hand, I guess. I don't really know where she shoots it. I didn't play Guilty Gear, so I don't know. But pretty cool character in my opinion. Probably one of the most interesting ones. I mean, she is also from Guilty Gears, so It's more or less from the game than an actual anime, to be fair. We'll move on to our last unit, which is actually Wolf or Coyote Stark. First anime becomes a line, pretty small, not huge, not crazy. And this is his passive, obviously, but basically really basic, just shoots the gun. At upgrade 4, he gets, I'm not gonna bother saying this because I don't even know how you would say this. Basically becomes a bigger line, pretty a thicker line, but basically what he does is that he fires multiple times with like his pulsar pistol thingy, whatever. I don't know. I believe he's also from Bleach. I don't even know what he does or where he's from, whatever the case may be. But at the last upgrade, he gets aerial removal, which is once again that half cone. Pretty cool, honestly, that we're getting a lot more like half cones or like full AoEs, just like final ones again, or just like extremely like large cone, just like large things now, which is pretty cool, honestly. I think some of the characters just have not had like that huge of a circle anymore, or like a huge area of effect in a long time. Yeah, basically what he does is that he just kind of swings his gun across, and then he just like fires it like a ton, I guess. And all right, so I completely forgot to record one for Frieza. I completely forgot about him. Yeah, starts with a small circle. This is passive. His ability is in his passive, so that's basically it. It's his second passive, but yeah, starts off with a small circle, does a little slash with his finger or just like swipe with his hand, and creates like a little explosion, but tiny cone nonetheless. At upgrade 4, he gets Murder Rain, which becomes full AoE and also becomes golden. He does this move in like Super, I think, or the Tournament of Power, I believe. And at upgrade 8, he gets Murder Barrage, which becomes a pretty like thick line. Basically what he does, points his finger, does it a lot of beams, and then does a final beam attack, like a more powerful beam attack. And then at upgrade 10, he gets his Death Ball, which becomes a big circle. Basically just summons a big like ball, purple ball, and just launches it towards the enemy. His ability, this is his ability, more or less also once again is his passive. It is passive, but the minions do start off with a thin line, right? And basically what they do is just a bunch of ki blast, as you can see, a bunch of ki blast, little like pew pews on the line. And let me just summon one further back. But over here they have no upgrades at all, so if I upgrade them at all, or like upgrade them, they don't have abilities, but they stay in this like thin line at all times. But yeah, that's Frieza. I totally forgot about him, but now I'm doing him again. So all right, now that we have all the showcases in and finally got Frieza in, because I totally forgot about him, we will move on to the priority list. The first unit to the priority list, and this is, well, being the most important unit to get, is Sukuna and his familiar. I feel like this is self-explanatory, but for the people who really want to know why it's important, it's mostly because of his familiar that makes him a really strong unit. So one of the first buffs to the passive to his familiar is that he applies cleave on every attack, which basically means he buffs bleed damage by 20%, as well as his first passive also buffs all cursed units by 30%, so he's basically doing a lot of damage. The second passive is, well, the classic damage and range buff that every unit, or that Gojo God, or maybe some of the Vanguard familiars use. Let me do that again. The second passive is that he gets an increased damage and range buff by an insane amount. I mean, literally Sukuna gets a 200% damage buff and 30% range buff, which basically makes him close to a Monarch unit. His third but last passive is also a follow-up, meaning anytime he inflicts cleave on an enemy, he also does an immediate follow-up with attack 2. So it's basically a unit that does an extreme amount of damage. On top of that, if you have Monarch on Sukuna and the familiar, you're basically giving Sukuna a 500% damage buff, since Monarch gives 300 and the familiar gives 200. So with that being said, he's honestly an insane damage dealer and is low-key important as a unit. Next, I put two units together, that being both Broly and Yuha. Let's start with Broly first. So Broly, as we know, is the newest Vanguard unit, and to be completely honest, he's extremely good. So his first passive gives him crit chance for every wave that passes, and every time he crits, he cleanses his debuff, which is good. I mean, most bosses nowadays attack the units, so being able to cleanse or being immune is huge. On top of that, his second passive is that every time he crits, he gains a 50% damage buff and does a follow-up, but every time he does this follow-up, he applies Rupture. For the people who don't know what Rupture does, it's basically a nullify for regen, and regen being something that terrorized the game for a while shows the importance of him. But if you still feel like you don't need him, his last passive might change that, and this is because every time he crits, he reduces the price of his next upgrade by 2% up to 30%, and it resets every upgrade. That is a huge money saver, and on top of that, if the unit somehow doesn't crit, he follows up with attack 1 and also gives himself a 50% damage buff for 60 seconds, a whole minute. So let's move on to Yuha. Yuha's passive kind of says it all, as he's immune to status effects, which is a huge thing. But every time he avoids a status effect, he gains a 5% damage buff up to 30%. His second passive is also another follow-up attack on the last enemy in the range, but the last enemy has to be different from the first. But this is basically a free chain attack kind of thing, and his last passive is a 5% range buff every time he uses his ability. His ability is also another big game changer, as he can either buff other units around him and decrease his own damage, or debuff the units around him in his range and buff his own for how many units are in a range. So with that being said, he's kind of crazy. I actually forgot to put Gogeta here, but Gogeta is a really strong unit. Although he does have some restrictions, it isn't that crazy. The one thing that really makes him over the top is that he is a high crit damage unit, because every time he crits, or any unit crits, he gains a 5% crit damage buff up to 75%, which is pretty huge considering he has crit rate himself. If you run him with Broly, you will be able to max out the crit damage a lot faster, as well as if he does crit, he does follow up with attack 1. This unit also has a 100% chance to dodge, which means he's basically immune, and as stated, that's a huge thing. Next is the important but not really important as the rest. The units in this list is, well, Goblin Killer, Frieza, and Wolf. The reason to this is, well, most of these units I feel like have downsides to them. Goblin Slayer is obviously an amazing unit, he's cheap and doesn't a lot of damage, but his only output of DPS is, well, just traps. He also is mostly a boss killer, so with that being said, he ain't really a unit you bring all the time. Next is Frieza. He's an extremely good unit, don't get me wrong, he has amazing DPS output, but he also comes with a huge downside in that he's crazy expensive, because not only do you have to upgrade him, but you also have to upgrade his minions, and his minions do an insane amount of damage. So with that, he gets expensive, and in a normal stage is either you upgrade him full and his minions, or you upgrade him and upgrade something else. But other than that, he's a pretty good unit. Last but not least is Wolf, and the reason why I put him so low is that he's not really special. He just does damage, and besides the fact that he does a slow for 50% and does a follow-up for 60% of his damage, and only on the follow-up, is kind of bad in my opinion. Like, I'd rather use Newsman and have him slow and bubble the enemy to increase the damage of all my units instead of just one unit. I just feel like he has too many downsides and not really a useful unit in my opinion, compared to someone like Newsman that basically does the same thing, but not only buffs himself but also buffs his allies by applying bubble. The last unit is, well, Baiken. Baiken, in my opinion, has just overcome what most units come in the anime tower defense games, and that is just power creep. Basically, she has utility to help and be good, but there are just people who can do it better for her. She's also really hard to obtain, so it's not really worth getting her unless you really want her for a cosmetic, which in my opinion is low-key fire, or you just like the character. She also just has a lot of downsides, which is her DPS output is just weak, and besides that, she does repulse, which is basically good, but she's more or less a trapper, as in she just doesn't allow units to get past her. Another thing that makes me put her so far down is her gauge. I mean, she gets 1% for one attack, and filling that up is basically like not worth it. And if you are able to use it in a pinch, that's good, but like you still have to hope that that unit's still in your range, because it doesn't work if they're outside of it. But nonetheless, it's more or less just more downsides than ups because of power creep. I do feel like she is a good unit, but more supportive than a main DPS kind of unit. So yeah, that is the priority list for this video. If you enjoyed this video, like and sub, as it means a lot, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.